Assalamu alaikum, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm talking with my friend and colleague, Mr. Gjergj Thanasi, an OSCE award-winning journalist from Albania. Today we are going to do a discussion with Gjergj, a discussion which I'm going to continue in the following days with a number of European and American journalists. We are going to discuss about the latest terrorist attack, which was made in Iran on 27th of November 2020, when one of the chief atomic scientists of Iran, Mr. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, was assassinated. The Iranian government has accused Israel and also the Mujahideen al-Halq, ex-terrorist organization, which Albania hosts. This program, which is going to be seen by many security analysts, agencies, and the Mujahideens themselves, is going, I believe, to draw a lot of attention, like we are going to have even in the coming days. Now, today with Gjergj, we're going to discuss about the danger that Albania has brought upon itself by hosting a violent and terrorist cult like the Mujahideen al-Halq they are. So the title of our discussion with Gjergj will be, May God save Albania from the mischief it is bringing upon itself. Without continuing any further, I'd like to invite Gjergj, and I'll ask Gjergj, what does he think about the latest terrorist attack in Tehran?
Hello, Olsi. Well, I am nationalist and I do not care much what happens in Tehran, in Kathmandu, in Valparaiso, in
Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv or in Ouagadougou or in Pretoria.
What about Washington? What about Washington? Do you care what happens in Washington?
Well, the only superpower on the face of the planet is something which has its say even in the internal affairs of a small and rather poor country like Albania. So I do care what happens in Washington.
All right.
Even as an Albanian patriot and nationalist, I do care.
Okay.
Good. So what I care is this kind of murder, because it is not just killing or assassination, it is a murder. This kind of murder has anything to do with Albania? Can it cause something bad to Albania? This is what I care about. Unfortunately, such a murder has a lot to do with Albania. And this is a problem. I'm speaking as an Albanian citizen and also as an Albanian who loves his country, who loves his countrymen. We have given shelter to a group of people called Mujahideens of the Iranian people, MEK, ex-terrorists officially up to 2012 for USA, for European Union, for Japan, Australia, New Zealand, etc., etc. So we accepted them beginning at the rate of 200 persons in 2013 and reaching several thousand nowadays. The problem was that Premier Berisha in 2013, while talking to the new ambassador of Tehran in Tirana, Albania, stressed the fact that these people are being received in Albania as on humanitarian grounds and as people needing protection, and Albania will cause no problems, meaning these people in Albania, to any country in the world. They will not be a source of trouble to any country in the world. It is in written form, It is in the archives of the Premier's office. It is online. It is open archive. What happened? The members of MEK, the Mujahideens of the Iranian people, behaved in Albania like masters, not like guests. Let us call them guests. They acted like cancer growth when the cancer cells attack the cells of the host body. So they infiltrated our police, our security service, and when I say police, I mean up to director of counter-terrorism, up to director general of Albanian police, state police. They changed into stooges, mayors, cabinet members, deputy ministers, MPs, etc., etc. And they are behaving here like, I don't know, like a state within a state. Okay, they respect Albanian law, etc., etc. But when it is this Albanian law is inconvenient to them, they just sidetrack it. And there are a lot of reports on minor media, but also on mainstream media like New York Times and maybe even Washington Post, that the murder of Dr. Fakhrizadeh, the head of Iranian nuclear program, has something to do with MEK, meaning that MEK, its people on the ground, meaning in Iran, have collaborated, as Iranians say, with Mossad, the spy service of Israel, to commit this murder. Of course, several top politicians of Israel denied it, that no, we didn't do it. USA denied it, but for the ex-director of CIA, who
John
said,
Brennan.
yes, Mr. Brennan, who said that it's Israel who organized this state assassination. The problem is this. Iranians have got their problems, of course, but Iranian state is a rather serious state. Iranians take very seriously the security of their country, of their state. And I believe they are forced to retaliate, and they have means to retaliate, as far as I know. I'm not speaking just reading something on Wikipedia, because I've been twice in Iran, I've seen things, and I've got a keen eyes to see things. And I believe this is the question. They are forced to retaliate, and they have the means to retaliate. Iran is not Korea, meaning the supreme leader of Iran has to take into his account the public opinion of the Iranian people. So he cannot behave like one of the kings of Korea. Whatever he says, okay, it is done. No, the supreme leader of Iran takes into account the public opinion. And the public opinion in Iran, even those who are against the velayati faqih, the system they have got in Iran, is against the murderers, against those who committed this horrible crime. Because Iranians, with very few exceptions, MEK is an exception, are very patriotic. Of course, they love to have a scientist of world level, very good one, scientist who has brought, of course, not him, all his team has brought a lot of successes in the field of nuclear science to Iran. And as patriots, they feel ashamed, frustrated, angry to have this world-class scientist, I can say, murdered. This public opinion, how can I say, will nail his leaders, Revolutionary Guard, even the supreme leader, I mean Khamenei, and will ask for them. They murdered our, let us say, best scientists. We want revenge. It is understandable. First, why did they succeed? Because the late Dr. Farizadeh was well protected to chase cars with special bodyguards. His Nissan was a bulletproof one, etc., etc. Several years ago, several Iranian nuclear scientists were murdered by, let us say, Israel, helped by MEK. Several times, MEK on his media, on their media, have boasted of helping in stopping or in slowing down Iranian nuclear program, even by killing, not murdering for them, Iranian scientists. So Iranian people, or the overwhelming majority of the Iranian people, will ask from Revolutionary Guard, from Daesh, from police, from Secret Service, even from the Supreme Leader, why they managed to murder our famous scientists, beloved scientists, and what have you done to redress this, meaning revenge? Here, Albania comes into play. We have sheltered MEK. There are a lot of fingers pointed to MEK as collaborating, as colluding, I better say, in murdering this very famous and beloved scientist in Iran. Iran has got the means. The leadership of Iran is under pressure from the overwhelming population of Iran to revenge, and Albania is in between. This is the problem.
Now,
I see.
Jerry, let me interrupt you for a second.
Yes.
In Albania, we have a counterterrorism police headed by a person called Gladis. We have one interior minister, a good boy of Vatican, Sander Leshai, whom the Vatican wanted even to crown for a few years ago of Albania. And we have our prime minister who speaks against terrorism and what have you. But our government has done nothing to constrain the Mujahideens. On the other hand, we have many Albanian Muslims who, for a simple word, they are jailed, they are declared terrorists. We have the case of a guy from Shiak, his name is Bardi Guza, who has been jailed since June 2020, only because in 2017 he wrote a comment on Facebook saying that if you want to say the word kill a Jew, he was meaning an Israeli soldier who was killing Palestinians. And our government is very harsh on Albanian Muslims when they want to do jihad. But on the other hand, we have this 7,000 strong jihadi organization. They make everyday calls for war and jihad against a foreign country, and Albania does nothing. How would you judge this?
First of all, I do not agree with you that General Leshai, our Minister of Interior, is a good boy of Vatican.
Well, Vatican loves him through Ismail Kadare. We know that.
Yes, our renowned writer, world famous writer. Yes, I know. But the problem is that he's not a good boy, and he's not a good boy of Vatican, let alone what the people in Vatican love it about. He is a survivalist. He wants to survive. He was a communist. When the communism fell, he became a Democrat, meaning a right-wing one. Then Mr. Berisha fell, he became a socialist, meaning an ex-communist dressed in a socialist suit. Now he has become a stooge of that ex-terrorist Rajavi, the head of Rajavi cult. So he tries to survive, to get up the ladder of promotion from first captain in 1991, when the ranks were reintroduced in the Albanian army, up to one-star general, a brigadier nowadays, and Minister of Interior. So if America cuts the support to Rajavi cult, he will become anti-Rajavi, he can jail them, he can beat them, he can maybe even order his police to shoot them. But he needs one star more, or to become an MP, or to become a Minister of Defense, things like this. So he is a survivalist. He has got neither Bible nor Quran. Let Vatican say whatever they want, but this is the truth. Unfortunately, he is not a capable, not general, but also a capable captain. He has never commanded more than 30 soldiers and non-commissioned officers together. This is it. Let alone the rank. Albania is not that serious state. Though I am a patriot, I make fun of my country, calling it the Wonderland. You know, huh? Eliza in the Wonderland. So this is it. I've discussed several times about Director General of the Police, who read almost without committing mistakes a pre-written statement of Rajavi as if it was prepared by Albanian State Police. So leave it aside. The head of the counter-terrorism in Albania, as a name, I mean as a function, as a director, as the head of such an organization, is something very big, very interesting. Unfortunately, the truth is very dull. This gentleman, Gladis, what is his name? Yeah, Gladis. His name is Gladis. Has made a collection of failures based on information from partners. Maybe it was Mossad. He sued a dozen or so of Albanian Muslims, practicing Albanian Muslims, meaning Albanians who go and pray in a mosque. Before the match between Israel and an Israeli team and an Albanian team. Sorry. Now, all these Muslim guys, are out of prison. They have been declared by the Albanian Albanian court innocent. The public prosecutor who
One second. Sorry,
accused
before you
them.
continue,
Sorry?
can you just move a bit to be in the center of the car? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you are good. Continue.
Oh.
Yes.
The public prosecutor, Mr. Eugen Beci, now is unemployed. He is fired. So those Albanian terrorists, Muslim terrorists, are out of jail, innocent. The prosecutor is out of his job, unemployed, fired, and the director of Albanian counterterrorism is still in his office. First failure. Second failure. He sued us, me, you, and some 7 or 8 other Albanians, of causing to Albanians during the pandemic's alarm, and it was very problematic for me, for you and me, because we could end in jail for a stint of 8 years maximum, maximum 8 years. Some 8 months have passed, and the public prosecutor has not sent our case to court. He's keeping the file in his drawer, well locked, because he cannot send it back to Mr. Gladis, and I consider it another failure.
But we are still under another investigation now by the complaints of the Mujahideens, who have complained to the Ministry of Justice against me for doing
Not
our
only justice, also Ministry of Interiors.
and Interior for doing our job as journalists. And even this video, by the way, will probably go to the file of the prosecutor who probably has our file. Because MEC claims that we are serviles of the fascist regime in Tehran, and we are doing psychological torture by talking about what is going on with MEC.
This means that New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, and the like, talking about President Trump, was exerting psychological torture on President Trump.
Yes, of course. If Trump would have put Maryam Rajavi as his chief of staff, she would have made this kind of claims against CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera. Anyhow, let's come back to Albania. Tell me, are we in a mess now with what happened in Tehran?
I wanted to explain in detail that Albanian institutions, to my opinion, are quite unprepared to foil an act of revenge on the part of Iran. If Iran decides that Mujahideen, I mean those people held in Manus, some 20 kilometers away from where I stay now in Durrës, the second city of Albania and the main port. Durrës is the second city of Albania and the main port. If Iran decides to punish them, to exert revenge on them, Albanian institutions cannot prevent Iran. They haven't got the people, they haven't got the training, they bought, I'm using the easily and at a rather cheap price, bought meaning they take graft and they can, for graft, they can do anything, anything, anything. So if Iran decides to retaliate against MEK, Iran can very easily retaliate against them in Albania because our borders are like sieves. Our borders are like sieves. And these are not only my words, my personal opinion. Even Europeans who help our police with anything, even jackboots, for example, German embassy donated to our special police, Renea. It is a very good unit of police, really top-notch, 200 pair of jackboots. So what can a police force like this do against Iran? A police force dressed in jackboots donated by Germany. I can understand a robo, very sophisticated computer, armored personnel carriers can be donated by Germany. Even Heckler and Koch submachine guns or full assault rifles can be donated by Germany. Glocks can be donated by Austria, but boots, next time, they will donate to us underwears for our police. So, such a police force, can it prevent Iran? No way. As a good Christian, I went to Shonasti, St. Astis church here in Durrës, and I prayed that nothing happens to Albania, that Albanians pay zero price, no price at all, in blood or in money to those ex-terrorists. Maybe they have become again terrorists of MEK, held there in their Ashraf city camp in Manus. It is a gated compound with high fences and guarded by armed Albanian cars, private cars. Yes, please.
A few days ago, you wrote an article about a private company, probably here in Albania, that had bought an anti-drone gun from Turkey. Who do you think bought this gun, and why does Albania needs it, in your opinion?
My article was not just my dream, it is a reality. Several Turkish media wrote articles on the export of a Turkish company based in Antalya of such anti-drones rifles, Albania bought not one but several of them, and the rifles were not bought by our police, national police. They were not bought, sorry,
By the
by
army?
our army. They were bought by a private company, meaning either this company buys them to resell them. Albania has done during the last 20 years or so, even more, a lot of weapons trafficking, buying man-pads, man-portable air defenses, Igla 16, Igla 18, in Ukraine and selling them somewhere else. A lot of times they have used Jewish intermediary companies to do such weapon trafficking. So maybe they bought the rifles in Turkey in order to resell them. One possibility. The other one is that those Mujahideen in their Ashraf 3 camp, off limits Ashraf 3 camp, Albanian police or army or secret service cannot enter them there without the express permission of the Mujahideens. Very nice. Huh? So maybe those rifles ended in this camp, but I have no proof. I am looking for proof, and when I say proof, I mean invoices, packing lists, and things like this, not just words. And if I find these documents, I will sue a government body whose duty is to control the import and export of weapons, ammunitions, and also materials of dual purpose. I will sue them if such rifles have ended in the hands of the MEK. But this is something else. The problem is Albania cannot stop Iran. We cannot rely on the help of our partners. Our partners lied to our police, lied to our counterterrorism directorate in the case of the football match between an Albanian team and a Jewish team. So how can we rely on such partners? Our police, I mean, especially high-ranking police officers, is very corrupt. Our border is like a sieve. How can we stop Iranians if they want to retaliate? How can we stop them? I am a good patriot. I want my country to be the best in the world. I am with Mr. President Trump, America first, Albania first. This is my motto. Albania first. This is my watchword. But how can we stop them? And why Albania should engage in such activities? Why should Albania permit MEK, a bunch of ex-terrorists up to 2012, they were de jure terrorists, to do such things? What do we gain? What do we gain? Do we gain fame? Do we gain geopolitical weight? Do we gain money? I don't know whether MEK pays graft to those Albanian MPs or Albanian cabinet members and the like. What do we gain? Nothing.
No.
Why should we smear the good name of Albania with such things?
No,
imagine now, Albania tourism, of course, will suffer if something happens to Albania, because average tourist from Japan or from Norway will reason, well, MEK, ex-terrorist, Iran, maybe if we go to have our holidays in Albania, terrorist attack there. So our tourism got a knock from earthquake, then pandemics, and now even the threat of terrorism, for God's sake.
Now,
hundreds, not hundreds, but thousands of billions of dollars have been invested in tourism. And it is a potential risk to tourism in Albania. The very existence of Ashraf 3 camp in Manus, very near to Durrës, my hometown. Yes, please.
Now, Gigi, I have a question, and you know better than me. We have a very corrupt government. We have corrupt politicians, people who have killed, who have sold drugs in the past, and many of these people coming from the leader of the Republican Party to the prime minister, Even our president, they have been in a way involved with the corruption and the clandestine existence of the Mujahideens in Albania. Now, until this year, the buzzword that the Mujahideens were using when they were blackmailing Albanian media and politicians in our country was that they were saying we are people of Rudy Giuliani, of John Bolton, and we are with Trump. Maryam Rajavi invested a lot in the Trump administration. On November 7, 2020, she even sent a congratulatory letter to President Trump for winning the election. But now we are seeing that the next president of the United States is going to be Joe Biden. And the coming American administration have said openly that they want to return to the Iran nuclear deal. So the probability is that the tension between the United States and Iran might go down. And this provocation that MEC and maybe the government of Netanyahu is trying to do to Iran probably will not work when Biden comes to power. Now, until now, MEC was claiming that we are supported by the Americans. We know the story of Mustafa Muhammadi, a Canadian family who came to Albania in 2018 and who was beaten by a gang of Mujahideens in Tirana. And when this...
I shall interrupt you. I don't care very much about Mujahideen beating another Iranian. What I care is Mujahideens threatening and pushing and elbowing uniformed Albanian police officers in the premises of the police station.
Exactly.
This is outrageous. How they dare push and elbow uniformed Albanian police officers. This is crazy.
One second, Georgie. In July 2018, we had 50 Mujahideens surrounding police station number 4 in Tirana, Albania, blackmailing the police.
In the capital of Albania, not a police station in a mountainous village. This is important.
So we had a kind like the Taliban when they go and surround any military base in Afghanistan. We had the same situation in Tirana, where Mujahideens headed by Commander Gila Dehim and Ahmed Taba, they surrounded a police station in the capital of Tirana, and they brought their lawyer with them, and Behzad Safari was with them, and their lawyer...
Sorry, I cannot comment here because I have sued this Behzad Safari, so I cannot comment this. Yes. I'm sorry. We are at court. I am at court with him, so please.
Because Behzad thinks that you are an Iranian agent, so you want him to prove in the court why you are an Iranian agent. So let me mention for our viewers what happened. We had the lawyer who came with Behzad Safari, and she slapped on the face the chief police of the station, slapped him with a bunch of papers, and told to him that I work for the Americans and you should release these Mujahideens. The Mujahideens who had committed a crime by assaulting foreign citizens in the streets of Tirana were released, and the whole police, they were afraid from the MEC gang who had even physically threatened and surrounded the police station in Tirana. Is this? Until now, MEC has played on the Trump card because they were paying money to Giuliani, they were paying money to Bolton, and Trump, who doesn't know probably where Albania is on the map, have only seen that this is a Muslim country, and he probably treats us like he treats Pakistan or Afghanistan. He has given them full support. Now we're having a new administration coming, which very likely will withdraw its support for MEC. The question is, what do you foresee in the future happening with this organization in our country? Will they still be allowed to continue to do terrorism, to incite to war against a foreign country, to break the laws, to do money laundering, and all other crimes that they do?
Uh, First of all, I'm not sure about a new administration and the new president in the White House, because personally, I believe that President Trump has got a couple of cards in his sleeve. I don't know whether they are Trump cards, but I do know that they are wild cards. So we have to expect surprises from the wild cards President Trump has in his sleeve, up in his sleeve. And one of these wild cards, I strongly believe, has to do with MEK, with their gated compound, safeguarded or protected by armed Albanians in Manos near my hometown. So, first, I'm not sure what will happen up to the 20th of January, 21st of January, first. MEK are a survivalist organization or cult. They were against the Shah, they were Marxist and Islamists. Then they became bootlickers of dictator Saddam Hussein. Then they gave up, 2003, they gave up Saddam Hussein and they got a deal with the Americans to disarm, to be at the mercy of them. They were paying a lot of money to John Bolton. After John Bolton left the White House and wrote his famous book, now there is no mention of John Bolton on Mujahideen's media. So maybe they will change again, just like how can I say, just like a worm which becomes, well, sorry, it is not coming. So they will change again and they might be pro the new administration. I don't know. One can never tell. But up to now, they will collaborate, collude with everybody to cause mischief. Albania is not a world power, so we are not that interested what happens in Iran. What are interested is that Albanian people, Albanian property is not damaged by uh, the problems caused by those ex-terrorists. This is the most important thing. So, December and the first 3 weeks of January will be very problematic. I hope nothing happens here in Albania. These ex-terrorists, with their hands stained with blood up to the elbow, Iranian blood, Iraqi blood, Kurds blood, even some American blood, are dangerous. I consider them a danger to the security of Albania. This is the kernel of it. I tell you, now Iranians are also a Mediterranean power. They've got their people in Tartaous, in Latakia, meaning on the shores of Mediterranean. They have got now capabilities to project power out of the Persian Gulf with their new military vessel. It is exactly Poor's-man aircraft carrier. Of course, it's not an aircraft carrier, but it is a Poor's-man aircraft carrier. And they can project power, very limited, but they can project it even out of Persian Gulf with sea bases and air bases in Latakia, in Tartaous, very near the Soviet, the Russian air base. Iranians are, by proxy, even directly, a Mediterranean power. So one has to think twice before becoming a tool in the hands of that leader of that cult, Rajavi, an ex-terrorist, an old woman, a stateless person. It's outrageous for Albania. It's outrageous. It is a shame to our politicians, to our generals of the army, to our chiefs of our national state police to be bootleggers of that woman. It's really a shame. It's really a shame. I repeat and I keep repeating, I pray to God that nothing happens to Albanians. They do not deserve to pay any price for that woman and what she meddles herself into. We want Rajavi and her people out of Albania. They got out of Iraq. We want them out of Albania. We
Yeah, but
profit nothing.
where to send them? No country admits them. Jerzy, let me make you another question.
You are wrong. I have written several articles, and at least in 3 cases, members of MEK who have given up their crazy ideas of regime change, of terror, etc., have returned to Iran, and they are with their grandchildren, with their children, enjoying the remaining years of their life. So, Iranian state didn't execute them, didn't put to prison, didn't torture them. They simply, of course, they keep tabs on them, but they simply told them, go to your family, to your relatives, live your remaining years of their life. So I believe most of them, especially ex-prisoners of war during Iran-Iraq war, can return to Iran and nothing will happen to them. Iranian security service will keep tabs on them, but no jail, no torture, no execution of them. So they have a choice between staying in that camp, being robotized there, and going to their loved ones in Iran. They have a choice, most of them, not murderers and terrorists, not those who murdered Dr. Beheshti, for example, in Iran. No, not them. But the others, most of them have got a choice to live a normal life in their country with their families.
Now, Jerzy, I have, because we have 10 more minutes left. So I have I think 3 questions for you. Number 1, in November 7, 2018, an MEC expert, Mr. Masoud Khodabandeh, whom MEC hates like a hell, he wrote an open letter to the Prime Minister and President of Albania, warning them in November 2018 that the experts of MEC were believing that MEC was planning to do some killings in Albania and to blame that on Iran. Then we have in March 2018, MEC producing a fake news, which was distributed by many medias in the West, as if Iran had sent 2 suicide bombers to kill them, 2 terrorists to kill them in Albania. Me and you, we have investigated this story, and we found out it was a fake story because these people were 2 journalists who, of course, they were interrogated together with 2 German nationals of Iraqi origin, who were interrogated by Albanian police. They were found to be journalists, simple people, and they were left to go home. Now, we have a pattern of MEC, and we know that MEC is used. I mean, terrorism is a weapon of powers who use. The terrorist groups, they do not come out of thin air. ISIS, Jabhat al-Nusra, they were created by Saudis, Emiratis, whatever, and they were placed in Syria for certain games. Now, as you said, until the 3rd week of January, we don't know what the Trump administration is going to do. My question number 1 is, are you afraid that MEC might carry out some kind of false flag operation to give a gift to the Trump administration and to Israel for a war with Iran? Number 1. Number 2
may I answer, please?
All right.
May I answer your question? Okay. So, I'm not just afraid, I'm very anxious because MEC has, in the past, has urged its members to self-mutilate, to set themselves on fire and to burn. They've used suicide bombers. They've sent kids, 14, 15 years old, to attack Iran, their motherland, their country, during the Marsad operation, during the last days of Iran-Iraq war. So what they have done in the past, they can do it again. They've staged false flag operation not only in Albania but also in other countries. But at least one of them has been investigated by me, and it was a very nasty false flag operation and very problematic for Albania. It was derailed. They can do it again, and the problem is Albanian people should not pay the price for this behavior of man. Albanian blood should not be shed because Rajavi, that stateless person, the head of Rajavi cult, needs some money, needs some protection, needs some support, because regime change is just a dream. Huh? A daydream, nothing more. So it is a danger. Please, my countrymen, stay away from their camp in Manza. It is a problem. It is just like an ulcer in a stomach. It is a problem. Stay away from that camp. This woman can do anything for money, anything for power. She has turned into slaves or serfs her countrymen, Iranians. She has murdered, she has kept them incommunicado, she has tortured them, she has brainwashed them, anything, she can do almost anything. So she is an evil woman and also very dangerous one. Albanians, keep away from her camp, keep away from her. Second thing, there is a sinister development the last couple of months. Maryam Rajavi personally has established contacts with Albanians who some 5 or 8 years ago recruited Albanian citizens, especially teenagers, and sent them as cannon fodder in the ranks of Jabhat al-Nusra Front. Sorry. So imagine now Wahhabism. I'm not an expert on Islam, but Wahhabism, people who for money has sent Albanians to serve as terrorists in the hands of in the ranks of Jabhat al-Nusra and then in the ranks of Daesh together. Maryam Rajavi, an ex-terrorist, at least an ex-terrorist now, with people who have recruited Albania for, on behalf of Jabhat al-Nusra. Put them together. It is a very explosive mixture. This is a new development.
Georgi,
I defy counterterrorism in Albania to investigate the links between this woman, Rajavi, and those persons who have sent Albanians to participate in the ranks of a terrorist organization as Jabhat al-Nusra Front was.
Georgi, my final question for you, we have only 4 minutes left, is that Rajavi cult, the Mujahideens, they hate a lot free media because they don't believe in democracy. They have beaten journalists coming with a Channel 4. They have attacked BBC, Al Jazeera, The Guardian, Der Spiegel, any Western newspaper. They don't want people like
snatched by the throat. Snatched by the throat.
Yeah. So me and you personally, because we live in Albania, we are Albanians. This is our country. We are in their target. They have written letters to ministries against us, to counter-terrorist police, to foreign embassies, but so far we don't give a damn about these idiots. They have accused us of being supporters, agents, serviles of the Iranian fascist regime of the mullahs. And so far, we didn't care about them. You have sent them to court. I also plan to send them to court, but I'm a bit lazy. But now that they are in this critical situation, are you afraid about your safety? Do you think that they might kill us? They have done this in the past.
I was not afraid to go against communism publicly on the streets, to demonstrate against them, to use my pen and also my arm against communism for the sake of my personal liberty and the liberty of the Albanian people. I am proud to have as my enemy that stateless woman, the head of Rajavi cult. I'm not afraid of them. Of course, I'm not in the best age to fight against them, but I've got a couple of cards in my sleeve, up in my sleeve, and I will use these cards. Up to now, I have beaten them. I hope to beat them in the future too. This is not boasting. I'm very serious. I love my daughters. I love my wife, but I love Albania more than myself and my family. So I'm not afraid of that ex-terrorist Rajavi. She should be afraid if she touches Albania, if she touches Albanians, if she causes that Albanian blood is spilled. Albanian blood is a very precious blood. If she wants to spill the blood, let her spill the blood of the poor serfs of Ashraf 3 camp. Let them self-mutilate, let them commit suicide or become kamikaze, but not Albanians. Albanian blood is a very precious blood. This is my message.
Okay, Jerzy, now the final, before we close, the title of this discussion will be May God Save Albania from the Curse of Maryam Rajavi. What is your final thing that you want to tell to the international community that sees our videos and discussion?
Please help Albania get rid of that scourge called Ashraf 3 camp where MEK members are held up. Please help Albanians to get rid of them. Thank you.
May Allah save us from the curse of Maryam Rajavi and terrorism, Jerzy. I also would like to appeal to our government to now, sooner than later, to put a stop to international terrorism, and our government who persecutes Albanian Muslims, who spies on even journalists like me and you, should do its job to protect our country, and moreover to de-radicalize and to give an end to this terrorist organization which is doing troubles to our country. Albania is a nice, a beautiful country. We are peace-loving people. Of course, we have many economic problems and corrupt government, but we did not deserve to have MEC in Albania. Thank you very much, Jerzy, and bye-bye for all the viewers.
Goodbye.
Bye.